Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 370 based on novel. So let's start. Boom. After the deafening voice emerged, two extremely fierce attacks fell instantly. The pitch-black finger awns under the blessing of the strange flowers turned into brown flames were mixed with unparalleled terrifying power. In an instant, Xiao Yan's dragon arm palm, accompanied by the heavy feeling of the water attribute, slammed heavily on it. The monstrous water curtain and the huge dragon palm transformed by Xiao Yan's dragon arm just touched the brown flame and black light, and a sharp and ear-piercing sound emerged, and then bursts of white mist came one after another from the point where the two attacked. Ha ha ha, boy, it's over. After Shurenshi, watching Xiao Yan's attacks retreating steadily, Sol Jiankai snorted coldly, and a gloomy voice filled the void. The realm of wood, the cage of 10,000 trees. Just as Sol Jiankai came with overwhelming momentum, a rare smile flashed in Xiao Yang's eyes, and there was no sign of retreating. The dazzling flames on his body were instantly wiped with life. It is wrapped in a very strong green aura. Not good. At this moment, Rao, with the power of Sol Jiankai, also smelled a sense of danger from Xiao Yang in front of him. Hun Jiankai just found out that something was wrong. He controlled his attack and quickly escaped from here, but how could Xiao Yang give him a chance? Sharp green vines emerged from the ground uncontrollably, and immediately without any hesitation, under the control of Xiao Yang, green rays of light flashed above the countless green vines, and they suddenly attacked the Soul River Sea. Go! This green light contains an extremely tyrannical repressive power, death. Seeing Xiao Yang's fierce attack, the black finger awns around Hun Jiankai surrounded by brown flames were quickly dissolved at a speed visible to the naked eye, raised his footsteps and attacked Xiao Yang. It's just a phantom. Xiao Yang snorted coldly and waved his palms. Countless green tentacles seemed to have life, attacking the phantom from an extremely sharp and cunning angle. Illusions, to put it bluntly, are just creatures condensed with their own fighting spirit, and they are not as strong as beasts and summons. Destroy me. Looking at the dying phantom creature, Xiao Yang's eyes were bright, his palms and fists were wrapped in amber flame soul fire, and suddenly burst out. After being bound by green Tengman, the phantom that was like a target was completely annihilated in Xiao Yang. Fire this blow. It seems that I really underestimate you. The black mist around him kept squirming, and there were countless bleak and gloomy screams in the vagueness. Sol Jiankai snorted coldly. Come on with your true strength, otherwise. The wood attribute around Xiao Yang suddenly stopped attacking and quietly crawled beside Xiao Yang. This 10,000 wood cage is one of the two Hola rank fighting skills, and it is the strongest single-person imprisonment and restraint fighting skills mastered by Xiao Yang, but every time Teng Man touches the body of Sol Jiankai, he is not blackened all over when the fog resisted. It directly penetrated through his body, which made Xiao Yang quite puzzled. Then, as you wish. One Hunua. Hearing Xiao Yang's reckless words, a terrifying aura emerged from the black robe of Soul River Sea. A trace of brown flames separated directly from the black mist, and then quietly crawled in front of the Soul River Sea. At the same time, a beautiful white flower, like a magic flower blooming in hell, bloomed countless evil mang. It turned out to be the 14th ranked Eternal Nightmare Flame on the Sacred Flame list. Looking at Sol Jianghai's methods, Xiao Yang also successfully deduced the source of the brown flame. Eternal Nightmare Flame, this is a very special holy flame, because it feeds on demonic cultists for a living, so this leads to the human beings who can subdue it. However, Xiao Yang clearly remembered that the original skill of this holy flame was an eternal nightmare. That is to create a huge illusion that covers thousands of miles, and bring all the human beings in the entire world into the illusion. The human beings in the illusion will produce many beautiful environment images, so they go out very much. Over time, the energy of the angry soul is constantly being destroyed. The holy flame absorbs them, and thus suffers a lot. After they are exhausted, they will be completely transformed into the nourishment of the holy flame. Buddha's anger. Reincarnation. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Yang's palm, the amber flames danced quietly. After a while, looking at the deadly aura above the magic flower, Xiao Yang's palm, and order the delicate lotus seeds that were trembling violently in the surrounding space gently emerged. The lotus seeds stood quietly like the medicinal pills of Lord Longan. There were 4 colors, which were quite dazzling. Even this world became quiet after the appearance of the 4-color lotus seeds. Your holy flame is mine. Looking at the exquisite lotus seeds in Xiao Yang's hands, Sol Jiankai smelled a wave of infinitely close to death from it, but after a brief hesitation, he still laughed. In the early stage of the 7-star fighting immortal, He even had the existence of Shengyan Zihuo. How could he be defeated by a waste who was barely promoted to the late 6-star fighting immortal stage with external force? Come on. With a wave of his big hand, the 4-color lotus seeds contained a touch of dazzling fire, and they were gently projected towards the Soul River and sea. At that time, this space suddenly collapsed, and countless ghosts were completely eaten away. Wan Hunyua, swallow it for me. Seeing Xiao Yang's terrifying offensive, Hun Jiankai laughed, and then he pushed his palms heavily, and a terrifying energy and lamp emerged from the flowers, and for a time, the space shock. Boom. The delicate lotus seeds seem to be weak and small, but the power contained in them has reached an indescribable level. When they just touched the magic flower, there was a harsh collision and friction sound. Spreading out, bursts of white smoke continued to spread out from the place where the two clashed, and the battle situation was anxious. After the breath, the 4-color lotus seeds became unsupported, and the countless evil forces above the magic flower took the upper hand. Reincarnation of Buddha's anger, bloom. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yang closed his eyes gently and muttered. Boom. As soon as the voice fell, the Buddha's furious samsara suddenly contracted like a heart, and then suddenly expanded. With a thud, the space trembled violently, and exploded directly in midair. At this moment, the world turned pale, and even dozens of magnificent palaces in the royal city around the altar were completely annihilated by the heat wave of Buddha's wrath. At this moment, the magic flower seemed to have received an irresistible force, and immediately contracted like a 4-color lotus seed, and then swelled. However, how could Firefly Ash win glory with Hao Yue, and how could the mere Saint Yanzihuo, even if it was cast by the 7-star fighting immortals, be comparable to the power of the fusion of the 4 saint flames? At the same time, the power that the magic flower erupted was completely wiped out by the destructive power of the Buddha's wrath, and at the moment when the 4-color fire lotus exploded, Sol Jianghai's pupils shrank tightly, apparently sensing something. Four holy flames? How is that possible? Looking at the spectacular scenery in the void like a furnace of flames, Sol Jianghai's expression finally became solemn, and a fear of death entangled in his heart unconsciously. 4 holy flames? How is that possible? Looking at the top of the sky like a flame bottle, the continuous stream of flame ripples overflowing from the bottle mouth, the breath contained in it is enough to truly burn everything to ashes. The shock in the heart of Sol Jianghai will not last for a long time. Stop. The preciousness of the holy flame is comparable to that of the very few artifacts in the Great Thousand World. However, in the memory of Soul River Sea, ordinary people can only swallow one, and if there is one more, they will probably die in the face of explosion. Threatening, even the most powerful person in their soul hall would only dare to swallow 1 holy flame. A guy like Xiao Yang who has 4 holy flames at the same time has no way of recording it in Sol Jianghai's memory. And the most shocking thing is Sol Jianghai. Cultivation method. In an instant, the shocking expression of Sol Jianghai was filled with ecstasy. Although he was defeated now, but knowing Xiao Yang's secret, he would naturally have time to clean up him in the future, but the strong people in Soul Hall were not. It was to conceal the news that Xiao Yang had multiple holy flames at the same time. Boom. The hot holy flames fluctuated, completely destroying the entire Wangcheng within a radius of dozens of kilometers, turning it into a land of ruins that could not be leveled. As this heart-pounding wave of destruction spread for a while, the power of Wn Mohua also became illusory, and finally drowned in the scorching fire and was annihilated by it. The flower shattered, and the breath in the Soul River Sea was exhausted like a broken flower and a willow. After a few violent coughs, the black mist around the body was directly shaken by the soul of the holy flame, and an almost transparent soul body stood weakly in the air. His face was pale, and there was a trace of cold killing intent in his eyes. It's not advisable to stay here for a long time, let's do business first, but I didn't expect that I would be defeated by this guy. The illusory soul body squirmed gently, and suddenly there were traces of escape. Want to run? After Xiao Yang finished the reincarnation of Buddha's wrath, his breath was also quite weak, but at this time, the breath of Sol Jianghai was even weaker than his own. Xiao Yang, if you kill me, Soul Palace will definitely list you as a mortal enemy, and you will never die. You have to think about it. From Xiao Yang's scarlet eyes, Sol Jianghai really felt a wave of death. Roaring while running, trying to use the Soul Palace to shock Xiao Yang. Just as Hun Jianghai was about to escape, an amber flame suddenly emerged from Hun Jianghai's side, easily binding him in place. Isn't this a joke? As for the Soul Palace, although it is not a mortal enemy, I will find it sooner or later. Xiao Yang walked out of the void with a faint breath, and a touch of amber liquid on the palm of his hand was like a death token. Beating violently, swore an oath. Soul Jianghai's death. No. With the appearance of the source of holy flame on Xiao Yang's palm, the illusory soul body of Soul Jianghai trembled violently. Don't kill me, I can tell you everything you want to know. All this, fear descended in the eyes of Soul Jianghai, begging for mercy like a prisoner. With a sound, Xiao Yang didn't show any signs of keeping his hands. The amber liquid gently wrapped the Soul River Sea. Suddenly, this invincible Soul Palace powerhouse was completely destroyed in Xiao Yang's hands, and even all this happened. Between the electric light and flint, there was no screaming, and the Soul River and Sea in the early stage of the 7-star fighting immortals completely fell. It's a pity that Shenyang Zihua has also been extinguished, otherwise, you can rely on Zihua to find the source of Shenyang. Seeing the complete fall of Soul Jianghai, Xiao Yang shook his head. When Soul Jianghai was completely burned to ashes by the source of holy flame, a rather simple closed stone box slowly appeared in Xiao Yang's sight. Above the stone box, there is an ancient and simple wave, as thick as an arm, and no trace can be seen, just like an ordinary item. This is. Xiao Yang's eyes were slightly startled, staring at the stone box, quite puzzled. This thing can actually stay still under the burning of the source of holy flame. This is the newly born holy flame, which combines the 4-color holy flames, which is enough to rank in the top 15 holy flames. Combining with what the experts in the Soul Palace just said, Soul Jianghai seems to carry some treasures that subdue the emperor. Could it be this? It doesn't matter, put it away first, or rush to the emperor's palace first. But I always feel that this election seems to be planned by Yuan Shou and the emperor together. Just what are they doing? During the conversation, he put away the stone box and walked directly to the king's bedroom, but at this time, the magnificent king's city had turned into dust because of the fight he had just fought, and a trace of the flames moved slowly, swallowing all the gloomy aura that remained, quite desolate. As for the strange stone box in Xiao Yang's hands, its origin is mysterious, and it later saved Xiao Yang's life. On the other side, with the conclusion of Xiao Yang's battle here, the battle above the sky just started. Elders, if you put down your weapons and surrender to me and wait for me to rule the Tianqing continent, you will be a one-to-one hero. Lin Fengya put his hands behind his back and stepped on the black coffin under his feet, like a king. With a sneer, a dark, icy aura filled his body. Don't be ashamed. Wait until I catch you and send you to the emperor's bedroom, and the emperor will deliver it himself. Hu Laro took the lead, the spear on the palm of his hand was a little sharper, and he pointed at Lin Fengya. Since it's so stubborn, then, die. Go. After the 10 elders are obliterated, the entire royal family will belong to us. Lin Fengya looked at the emperor's soul surrounded by evil spirits, and said with ecstasy, in a short while, the emperor will be completely convince yourself, at that time, everything will be in your hands again. Even though Lin Yunshu has the power of stars, how can he turn the tide with the power of one person? Lin Feng. He has the strongest combat power in the Sky Star continent, but so what? How can a mere martial artist fight with himself? He really thought that the Holy Sea Angel would be willing to help him. Using the devil fruit as a bargaining chip, the angel naturally came from helping him, although Lin Feng's fall was probably only a matter of time. Now, it's all just a matter of time. Hee. I heard that the wood attribute of the Sky Star continent is tyrannical and unusual. Today, I will come to meet the elders of the Sky Star continent. During the speech, a gloomy man on top of a dragon corpse, surrounded by black light, had a gloomy and strange tone. Boom. With a loud voice, above the void, just above the 4 dragons' lock coffin, the dark clouds and thunderbolts were extremely powerful, like the wrath of the gods, rendering the breath of Soul Wuji to the peak. 7 stars fighting immortals is complete. Looking at Soul Wuji's means, and the figures above the other 3 dragon corpses, Hu Laro's expression suddenly became heavy. 1 7-star Dozian is complete, 1 is in the late stage of the 7-star Dozian, and the 2 are in the early stage of the 7-star Dozian. Even if they are 10 veterans, it is extremely difficult to deal with. Because the strength of the 10 elders is in the early stage of the 7-star Dozian to the late stage of the 7-star Dozian. Among them, there are only 5 people who are stronger than the early stage of the 7-star Dozian, and only 3 who have reached the late stage of the 7-star Dozian. For a time, the real war between heaven and earth started slowly. Do it. As Lin Fengya's voice fell, the 4 dragon corpses on the sky suddenly shook, and were immediately controlled by the figures above their heads to spread out, and blasted away at the 10 elders. The 3 7-star fighting immortals will be handed over to me in the late stage. Soul Wuji snorted coldly, driving the dragon corpse to face the most tyrannical 3 of the 10 elders. Tiger Laro, Wolf Laro, Ying Laro, the three powerhouses in the late stage of the 7 starfighting immortals. What should I do now? The strength and seniority of the three were obviously led by Hu Laro, and asked. Do it. Hu Laro's eyes suddenly became solemn, and then he looked at the black coffin above his head and the pitch-black evil cloud, hesitating. Among them, there seems to be something more terrifying. Heavenly Soul Palm. Sol Wuji did not hold back. The reason why he chose the 3 late-stage 7-star fighting immortal powerhouses was naturally because he coveted their souls. With one palm, the desolate screams of countless yin-foam roars spread out from Sol Wuji's body. Immediately, a huge dark palm appeared in front of it, and with a sudden push, the space shook violently, as if it would be completely at any time. Common collapse. What the is going on with this Soul Temple powerhouse? Hu Laro looked at Sol Wuji's blow, and his heart flickered with surprise, and then the hair behind him suddenly stood up, and the dazzling green aura on his body formed a full force in front of the 3 of them. 100 meters deep defensive wall shield. Bang bang bang. The eerie soul palm just fell, and the Sol Wuji and the dragon corpse flickered together, coming directly to the 3 of them, and suddenly there was a shadow in the corner of the Sol Wuji's eyes, and the palms were raised, countless dark and gloomy the black mist lingered, vaguely turning into a huge energy cage, and slammed down on the 3 of them. Not good. When the 3 of them saw this, they just wanted to defend themselves, but found that it was too late. The wooden defensive wall was destroyed by Soul Palm, and Sol Wuji's fierce offensive clearly wanted to solve themselves in the fastest time. Arrangement. At the critical moment, Tiger Laro's eyes became serious, and a majestic voice permeated. Wood grain star formation. At the same time, the other 2 elders looked at each other, stretched out their hands, and a touch of the same green power, full of endless life breath, quietly permeated from the 3 of them, and then pushed the 4 of them. Completely wrapped. It is like the domain is isolated from the outside world, and it is like a formation that imprisons Sol Wuji. Boom. With a sound, Sol Wuji's attack landed on the green aura, as if hitting cotton, it was bounced back. This devil must be kept here forever. Hu Laro took the lead and took a sudden step, wrapped in countless green life breaths, like a favored person favored by the forest goddess. Kill. The eyes of the other 2 elders flickered rapidly. After the breath, their strength was like a tiger, and the fierceness in their eyes was revealed. The 3 of them formed a triangle to surround the soul. They should still have a little time, so let's have a good time with you. I just checked the souls of you, so I can build that thing. Susu. Sol Wuji is still standing on the dragon corpse, the dragon although the corpse has fallen, but the remaining power is blessed, the current Sol Wuji, the strength has vaguely reached the limit, the 7 starfighting immortal is complete, and it is only 1 step away from the 8 starfighting immortal. If you want to kill 3 people, it is obviously possible. A lot of effort. Yin Soul Eater. Magic dog, come out. Seeing the green aura bursting out from the 3 of them, slowly filling the space, there is a faint touch of the strongest power emerging from this field, but Sol Wuji is covered dismissively and sneered. Just as Hun Wuji's cold snort fell, the ground wrapped by the domain under his feet suddenly vibrated violently, and the domain ground wrapped by the formation quickly cracked open, one after another as huge cracks and abyss spread. At the same time, under the abyss of the rift, bursts of terrifying screams and screams filled the air, accompanied by a strong and disgusting smell, which was also continuously flowing from the rift figure. Burst out from below. The sudden scene surprised the 3 elders who were concentrating on casting the joint seal, as if there was some kind of evil in the abyss of the crack, but after a brief hesitation, they also knew that the gap between the 2's combat power was too huge. If the joint seal cannot be displayed, I am afraid that the entire continent will be bloodbathed by Sol Wuji alone. What this guy wants is definitely not only fame and fortune, but countless blood and souls of the deceased. Everyone knows the wolf ambitions of the Soul Palace. Is that a demon dog? Isn't this a creature in the underworld? Soul Palace, how is this possible? At this time, in the abyss of the domain, a pair of vertical eyes, like the eagle at the top of the food chain now looking down at his food, revealed an extremely fierce oppression. My pet, enjoy your dinner. Sol Wuji controlled the dragon corpse and easily floated on the top of the field, and then a frenzied roar resounded through the entire field formation. The creature in the rift abyss seemed to have received an order, and moved gently, with a loud voice full of endless killing intent. Wanmu Soul Palace. Looking at the crazy behavior of Sol Wuji in front of him, and looking at the demon dog that slowly walked out of the abyss of the crack, the power of the 3 elders forcibly merged and displayed the sealing fighting skill. Although this is not the most perfect sealing fighting skill, but if they wait like this, they will definitely die. Because the aura on that demon dog is only stronger or weaker than Sol Wuji. After the seal fighting technique was performed, a magnificent palace stood above the heads of the three of them. The whole body of the palace is engraved with green auras, like a hall inhabited by a shrine, and the seal aura mixed on it is enough to completely suppress Sol Wuji. Give me the town. The three elders squeezed their palms tightly and projected them towards the location of Sol Wuji. Suddenly, the entire domain space became quiet, and the magnificent palace was like a rainbow light, piercing the sky. A strange thing happened. Just when the power of the seal of the magnificent palace eroded into Sol Wuji, his body suddenly became illusory, and then the palace buildings filled with the power of the strongest seal quietly penetrated from the surface of his body. That feeling seems to be that the Sol Wuji in front of you is just a virtual image. It's over. The power of the seal smashed on the edge of the field, and the field suddenly collapsed. Blow yourself up. Swallow it for me. Looking at the determination in the pupils of the three elders, Sol Wuji waved his hand, and the power in the three people's bodies was completely suppressed. At this moment, the devil dog in the rift abyss also came out, turned around, directly with the aura of destruction, biting the bodies of the three elders, blood essence. Even the soul. This soul is still useful to me. Seeing this, Sol Wuji waved his hand, and the weak soul body of the late stage of the three Dao 7-star fighting immortals was taken into the bag. At this moment, the three elders of the late stage of the 7-star fighting immortals have completely fallen. They are as tyrannical as these strong men. Boom. Above the sky, pitch-black dark clouds continued to flicker, and beams of thunder, beams of hundreds of meters in size, suddenly descended with monstrous momentum. Who Laro and the others, did they win? The other 7 elders were slightly startled. Looking at the battle circle surrounded by black smoke, a solemn aura slowly stepped out. As Sol Wuji entangled the 3 most powerful late-stage 7-star fighting immortals, there were several other battles for a while, and the fight was inextricable. The 3 elders have perished, and you will be captured soon. A powerful voice emanated from the black smoke. How is it possible? Looking at Sol Wuji, who was recklessly riding on the dragon corpse, the 7 elders froze and lost their voices. Just now, the 3 elders imprisoned Sol Wuji with the power of the formation domain, trying to suppress and obliterate him, but as time passed, the domain of the 3 elders was shattered, and there was no breath at all. What is this Sol Wuji doing? The other 3 powerhouses standing on the dragon corpse were all chilled when they saw this. They knew the strength of the 3 7-star Dozian late-stage veterans, but now they are completely fall into the hands of Sol Wuji. For the prince's plan, it's your turn next. Surrounded by black mist, his eyes lifted sharply and he glanced at the dark clouds and the distant emperor's palace. Sol Wuji's eyes flickered, and the black mist all over his body violently squirmed. It diffuses out of the body. Hey! After the blink of an eye, with Sol Wuji at the core, a strange black hole emerged spontaneously. It was like a Pandora's box dedicated to holding demons and Evilders. It was like a bottomless pit, and the steady stream of terrifying power overflowed, making the strong present uneasy. Join us. Seeing this, the 7 elders burst out with Do Chi from their bodies, and their bodies were tightly tensed, but letting them attack would still be useless to the black hole. Retreat. Seeing this, the other 3 strong men above the dragon corpse drove the dragon corpse and returned to the edge of the black coffin. Tiaro Lao. The 7 elders did their best, but when they hit the black hole, it was like hitting cotton. Not long after, a dark chain, filled with countless mourning voices, suddenly wrapped around one of the 7 people. Body. The black chain just wrapped around Laro Lao, and Laro Lao's face suddenly became ugly, his face was pale, and the breath in his body was like a deflated balloon, falling rapidly. This guy is devouring my strength, even my vitality. Laro Lao's eyes changed suddenly and he exclaimed in shock. It's over, completely turn it into my nourishment. At this time, Sol Wuji was like an ambitious madman, black chains constantly emerging from black holes all over his body, like a poisonous snake, blasting away at the 7 elders from a very tricky angle. The breath suddenly weakened, and with the help of the link between the chain and the black hole, pure power poured into the black hole. Prince, this guy doesn't seem right. And so far, there has been no good news from the Emperor's palace. The 3 strong men had just returned to the black coffin. Uncle Lin narrowed his eyes, looking at the situation where Sol Wuji was massacred by one person, and said, "Don't worry, everything is under control. If Sol Wuji is beyond my control, it will be nothing but suicide." As he spoke, on Lin Fengya's palm, an agate red fruit quietly emerged. This is his greatest reliance. This fruit seems to be small, but the breath and power contained in it really make the world pale. But the strange thing is that the whole body of the fruit seems to be covered with a vague seal. At this moment, lightning flashed and thundered above the sky, and Sol Wuji, like an evil god, stood quietly. "It's you guys." Seeing the miserable appearance of the 7 elders, Hun Wuji snorted coldly, and 3 chains engraved with countless spooky ghost patterns emerged from the black hole, piercing the void. Facing the 3, the strong man above the dragon corpse roared away. With that level of power, even if they had the blessing of dragon corpses, their faces changed drastically. "Hun Wuji, are you crazy?" Seeing such a fierce attack emerging, Uncle Lin's eyes froze and he asked in shock. "As of now, there is no need to hide it. In the eyes of our soul palace, you are just a group of ants. You should be lucky to die at my hands, because soon, you will be devotees of that ceremony. That's your honor, so die for me." As soon as the voice fell, Sol Wupala became the torturer who controlled the black hole, and countless sinister and evil forces rendered the entire sky. "Prince." When the 3 of them saw this, they were all shocked, and looked at Lin Fengya with anxious eyes. The power of the 3 of them faced Sol Wuji, which meant that they had no life or death. That's ironic. At this moment, Lin Fengya's palm was gently raised, and a crystal-clear devil fruit appeared on his palm. Suddenly, the entire sky was filled with extreme silence. Devil fruit. At this moment, Sol Wuji's crazy smile instantly solidified, and the black hole ghosts around him kept shaking. It seemed that this tiny devil fruit contained a power that made Sol Wuji fear. Crack. For some unknown reason, a sound like a crystal shattering sounded around the devil fruit suddenly. The fully ripe devil fruit was only half filled with liquid. "Gama, you bastard." Looking at this scene, looking at the palm-sized fruit like an agate, half of it was hollow, and only half was filled with a special dark green liquid, Lin Feng said. Ya's pupils shrank tightly and shouted. When Xiao Yang broke into the underground palace, Lin Fengya forced Gamma to hand over the remaining 2 devil fruits. In the end, he even used his soul power to force the whereabouts of one. Following Gamma's soul memory, he found the devil fruit. Although there was only one, Lin Fengya checked it again and found that it was the mature one. He didn't bother with Gamma, and sent Gamma directly to the Emperor's bedroom. "I want to be buried with the Emperor, but where did I think that the Gamma actually set up a blindfold on the devil fruit to deceive himself? 2 devil fruits, 1 half-ripe and 1 fully ripe. But the power contained in it is worlds apart. Lin Fengya, it seems that you have done a lot of evil, and God will not help you." At this moment, Sol Wuji laughed loudly, and the figure and the black hole instantly poured into the pitch-black dark clouds above the sky. At that time, an evil cloud like a furnace of slowly brewed and was born. At this moment, the world turned pale, and countless sinister and evil breaths filled the entire Tianyuan mountains. The awe-inspiring aura and scenes were no different from the real hell, cold, dark, and awe-inspiring. On the other side, Xiao Yang was still on his way to the Emperor's bedroom. Inside the Emperor's bedroom. "My lord, Prince Lin Fengya's subordinates have all been wiped out, and all the guards belong to us, but it seems that there are still many strong souls coming here one after another. Judging by the number of people, we will definitely not be their opponents. Look." At this time, outside the huge palace, dozens of vigorous guards quickly emerged, and above the top, Lin Feng's body appeared here, his eyes only staring at the depths of the palace, extremely hot. Lin Feng was surrounded by a black-robed figure, and that black figure revealed an extremely terrifying fluctuation invisibly, like a martial ****** who ignored the disputes in the world, looking down on the world. "Buy me some time. In front is the Emperor's bedroom. The Emperor has already been tortured by that beast Lin Fengya. It's better to die. Once the adults take action, our plan will be completely successful. Please, please." Lin Feng said, his body slightly bent. Yes, he respected the figure wrapped in black robe beside him. Even if the Emperor is seriously ill, only the power of the Holy See can obliterate the power of the 7 star-fighting immortals. Even Lin Feng doesn't know the specific identity and strength of this guy. He can only know that this guy is loyal to the wandering angel Mekl. He is the most elite powerhouse under his command. It appeared in her eyes, so she sent such a messenger to do things for her. But for Lin Feng, it doesn't matter. As long as the Emperor is dead, with the remaining half of the military power in the Emperor's hands, as well as the huge army behind him and the help of the Holy See, the entire Tianqing continent will also become within easy reach. Phase resources, but compared with the huge Tianqing continent, Lin Feng can only bite his teeth and cut his flesh. "Let's go, Prince. I hope you haven't forgotten your agreement with our parade angel." A cold snort came from under the black robe, and there was some lightness in the voice. Even looking at Lin Feng's body, helpless, he shook his head, as if looking at a dying person. There was nothing in the bedroom, but it gave him extremely tyrannical oppression, which was fed back by the keen light attribute of the Holy Sea powerhouse. Hee, that's natural. After the two of them said, they also walked towards the bedroom, and they suddenly regained their calm. The Emperor's bedroom is located on the top of the mountain. The whole is like a piece of pure jade with crystal silver and antimony. It contains a very noble and luxurious atmosphere. There are 4 halls in the bedroom, which are the Emperor's library, training ground, tea house, and welcoming guests. Building. The 4 palaces are opposed to each other as a whole, and the center, surrounded by the 4 palaces, is the bedroom that looks like a huge palace building. The atmosphere in the bedroom was quiet and elegant, and the entire bedroom was extremely quiet, without any anger. The dormitory stands in the center of the manor, surrounded by dozens of stairs, going up, surrounded by splendid gold and blue, and a group of menacing stone beasts guarding the 4 directions. Father, my son is here to see you. At this time, there were no guards in the palace. Obviously, many of the guards guarding the palace had been secretly bought by Lin Feng. Feng and the Holy Sea powerhouse walked towards the palace step by step. My lord, I caught a suspicious person. Just as Lin Feng and the 2 walked to the stairs below the palace, several guards brought a delicate woman into their sight. Lin Yunshu? Lin Feng was surprised when he saw this. You didn't die. After a while, Lin Feng wondered when he saw the large and small scars on Lin Yunshu's body. At the altar at that time, the combined power of Sol Jianghai and Lin Fengya was heart-stopping. Even a powerhouse of this level did not obliterate the princess. There was something extraordinary about this guy. Lin Feng. You colluded with foreign parties and murdered your father. You are really worse than a beast. Lin Yunshu's breath fluctuated violently. Obviously he had just spent a lot of vindictive energy for the sake of the fast Soul Hall powerhouse. Under siege, defeated. Winning the king or defeating the bandit, Wang Mai should save it. After saying that, Lin Feng did not waste too much time on Lin Yunshu. The most important thing at the moment is to obliterate the emperor. As long as the soldier seal is obtained, the remaining 50% of the army will be exhausted. To myself. At that time, Lin Feng, who controls 80% of the strength of the Skystar continent, would be hard-pressed not to win. As for Lin Fengya, he was an ambitious lunatic from beginning to end. Unfortunately, this kind of guy would fall into his own hands. Lin Feng's voice just fell, and in the bedroom above the stairs, a majestic energy spread uncontrollably like energy ripples from the inside. It seemed like a weak force, but when it affected the powerhouse of the Holy Sea, the guy's face hidden under the black robe shrank violently, as if he had encountered something that scared him. What happened? You, open the door for me. Lin Feng felt a chill in his heart because of this, and he kicked a sudden step forward, kicking a janitor forward towards the gate of the bedroom. Hehe, Feng'er, you and Feng Wei are really disappointing to me. Just as the Imperial Guards were about to hit the solid wall of the dormitory, a mighty vindictive energy seemed to be just awakened from a deep sleep. Dragon, sweeping away. Before the words were finished, a thin middle-aged man with fierce eyes slowly supported an old man with white hair, even an old man with no blood and blood, like a dying person, and walked out of the palace. Came out. Father, are you all right? It's great that you're all right. Lin Fengya's rebellion tried to deprive the entire Tianqing continent. My son is here to save you. At this moment, Lin Feng looked at the lifelike figure of the emperor in front of him. His blood was boiling. The coercion of the emperors from the same vein was vividly displayed at this time, and he couldn't help but kneel down with his legs weak. No one knows the strength of the emperor better than Lin Feng. The strength of the emperor was called the first person among the 7 stars when he was still in the early stage of the 7-star fighting immortals. In the early days of the 7 stars fighting immortals, the 7 stars fighting immortals were completely annihilated. In addition, he led the Tianqing continent to wipe out many resistance forces. The name of the emperor is truly at home. It turned out to be sacrificing others to fulfill himself. The emperor of the dignified star continent is nothing more than that. Seeing Lin Feng's fearful appearance, the Holy Sea powerhouse's eyes stayed on the body of the shriveled old man, and he said after a while, "That is Yuan Shou, although it is not very clear, but at this time, Yuan Shou's vitality and even strength are quickly retreating. Your Majesty, my subordinates leave." At this moment, the body of the old man beside the emperor slowly returned. Over time, it turned into a pile of dust and dissipated between heaven and earth. Yuan Shou, you will always be the hero of our Tianqing continent. The Holy Sea powerhouse is here, Let's do it, otherwise even if an angel comes today, I'm afraid you won't be able to get away in an instant. Being involved in the housework of my star continent must be washed with blood. The Emperor looked at the figure in black robe expressionlessly, but the monstrous murderous intent contained in his voice was stopped by the man. That power is definitely not something that 7-star Doshian can possess. This video will end here.